guys, it is Teenage DC Fan back with another video, and this is my episode review for Season 6, Episode 1 of The Flash, and this episode was titled Into the Void, and honestly, this was a pretty solid season premiere. Usually seasons have like a rocky start, and then they get better as they go on. But Flash is looking like this is going to be a good season. So there's a lot happening in this episode, and a lot of predictions that I have and theories. So let's just dive right into all this stuff and get going. So we start off the episode seeing how Godspeed is on the loose, and then the Flash tracks him down, knocks him out, and then takes his mask off, and then the dude is laying there on the ground. He has his mouth open and he's making some really weird freaky noise, and then Barry's talking through his communicator thing with Cisco, and then he says that it's another mindless thing that can't talk or something like that. So apparently, like, since last season, they've been fighting crime. This is the fourth Godspeed that they've found that is, like, a fake one. That's, like, a mindless, speechless Godspeed. So, where's the real Godspeed? I don't know. But not there. So, I don't know. Maybe throughout the season we'll see more fake Godspeeds, possibly. But, I mean, this is our second tease of Godspeed. We saw him in one episode last season. And you don't just tease a character twice and then do nothing with it. Especially with something like this, with it being a bunch of fake Godspeeds. So I'm definitely thinking they're building up to something there. And we know that Bloodwork is the main villain of the first part of the season, before Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I'm thinking that probably after Crisis on Infinite Earths and after the winter break, that Godspeed will be the main villain for the second half of the season, possibly. So that would be cool to see, because Godspeed's an awesome character, but he was in like one episode last season, and like there wasn't much of him in that. And then in this episode, he was in it for 2 minutes, and then turned out to not even be him. So yeah, I really hope that they develop his character more and show more of him, because he's really cool. But now moving on to the Caitlin Killer Frost thing. So Caitlin and Killer Frost are having kind of like an identity crisis, or like a life crisis or something like that. But basically, Killer Frost won't come out. It's like she's scared. It's like in Avengers Infinity War, how the Hulk was scared. But then when Ralph shows up, he's honestly like a psychiatrist, like a therapist almost, and he like helps Caitlin through everything. So then he comes to the conclusion that Killer Frost wants to live her own life, because of course Caitlin only transforms into Killer Frost when they need to go into battle, so that Killer Frost can, fight people. So Killer Frost wants to be more than just a killer. Well, she doesn't kill people anymore, but I mean, like, more than... She wants to have her own life. Because the way she described it is that when there's a fight that needs to be fought, she's released, but then after the fight is over, she just goes back into her cage. But she wants more than that. Like, she doesn't like just being inside of Caitlin. And, like, of course she has the same memories and thoughts as Caitlin, pretty much. But she knows that those are Caitlin's memories and not hers. So she wants to make her own memories. So, Caitlin and Killer Frost come to terms. And now, throughout this season, we're going to be seeing more of Killer Frost, because Uh, Before, usually we would, like I said, we would only see Killer Frost in battles. But now we're going to see her, like, around Star Labs as Killer Frost, and, like, doing normal things, having a normal life. So I think that's going to be really cool to see, because we've spent so much time with Caitlyn, and now we really need to get to know Killer Frost. Because even though she's part of Caitlyn, it's almost like she's a completely different character. So we really need to develop the her life. Like, she needs her own life to live it and, be free and stuff like that. Then also we were introduced to Ramsey Russo, who will end up being the main villain for the first half of the season, I believe, before Crisis on Infinite Earths. And, it's looking like he's gonna be a good villain. I mean, he's very different from the past villains, because a lot of the past villains, they just want to be villains for villainous reasons. I mean, like, Reverse Flash, he wanted to take over the universe or reality or something like that. I don't really remember for sure. I haven't seen season 1 in a while. I don't remember what Zoom was doing. Savitar, he just wanted to get revenge on Barry. The Thinker, he wanted to take over. Cicada, he wanted to kill all metahumans. But Ramsey Russo, he has a completely different look at things that makes him a villain. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Because we first start off by seeing him at his mother's funeral. So his mother passed away, and he is apparently an old friend of Caitlyn's. So Caitlyn is at the funeral, and then after the funeral's over, he's like, "Would you like a cup of tea?" Wait, no, I don't think it was tea. But whatever, probably coffee. But basically, they went to Jitters, and it was kind of a date. I'm like, when he first asked her to go get coffee, I was thinking, oh man, they're going on a date. Here we go again, another relationship for Caitlyn that doesn't go anywhere because he's just an old friend. I mean, honestly, Caitlyn and her relationships go nowhere. Like, in the first relationship we saw her in, she was married, but then, he died. And now every other relationship she's been in, they just leave the show randomly, or die, or turn evil. So, yeah. But I was glad to see that it didn't end up being a romantic thing. Because when they actually end up going to Jitters, he explains his whole plan and how his mother was a coward and she wasn't brave. She was just a coward because she knew she was going to die, but she just gave up. And apparently he has this plan and this cure, to cure, it's a cure. And in case I didn't mention that like 3 times, but the cure is to get rid of the cancerous disease that his mother had and prevent other people from dying and becoming cowards like his mother. So basically his mother is his motivation, but usually when people say that their mother is their motivation, it's in a good way. But for him, it's because of his hatred for her and because of how cowardly she was. And that's why she's dead. But the problem with this whole cure is that he needs dark matter. And that's why he wanted to talk to Caitlyn, because he knows that there's dark matter at Star Labs. And of course she's like, no, I'm not going to just give you dark matter. I mean, because of course it could turn people into metahumans against their will. But then he gets mad about that. So then he stomps out of there, throws a tantrum because he's mad he didn't get his way. But then at the end of the episode, we see him appear again in, like, wherever he lives, I'm assuming, or in some kind of lab, and he's looking at some different files. And actually, I just skipped a part because before this, we see a part where he's at his mother's grave, and then this random guy drops by, and then trades him this big gun, and then Ramsey gives him money. Gotta pay the seller. So then that gun is filled with dark matter. So now he has the dark matter, and he can complete his mission, I guess you could say. And so then back to what I was saying about him being in a lab, and there's like all these files, and this is where we find out that he actually has that same cancer type thing that his mother had. So he wanted this to cure himself as well, not just other people that suffer from it, but also himself. So then he injects it into his arm, and then the things go from like the disease particles or platelets or whatever it was, go from 99% down to, I believe, 0, probably. So now it's like he's cured, but then his arm starts transforming and gets almost liquidy, and then it starts to remind me of like Venom from, Spider-Man, and I'm now just noticing that I've made a lot of Marvel references in this, and that reminds me, go check out my other channel, Teenage Marvel Fan. It's basically like this channel, except we talk about Marvel stuff, so it's pretty cool. But like I said, it like covers his arm, and this means that he is officially becoming Bloodwork, and that's like his official supervillain name. And like if you go on Google and you Google Bloodwork, or the Flash Bloodwork, or DC Comics Bloodwork, you'll see what he looks like in the comics, and I'm assuming he'll look something similar to that in this show at some point, and it looks pretty cool, so I'm excited to see that, because like I didn't know much about Bloodwork until we found out that he was going to be in this season, so then I did some research and found out who he was, and yeah, he's pretty cool. But now on to the main storyline of the episode. So there's this dude named Chester, but I'm not going to get into that right now, because we got to talk about Iris and Barry. So, of course, they are dealing with the loss of Nora, but the thing I find weird about this is that, so they lost their daughter. Their daughter died. But you'd think that as a married couple, that they would, try and get through it together. But no, they try to do things on their own and get through it alone without confiding in each other. It's like they don't trust each other almost. I mean, of course they do. But it just doesn't feel like a real relationship. It's like they never talk to each other. And, like, you can really tell that they're deeply saddened by the loss of their daughter. And, they're both suffering from the same loss, so you'd think they would be, trying to get through this together. But no, they're doing some solo stuff. And, of course, Iris gets into some trouble because the jacket that Nora wore, it's in the junkyard for some reason. So Iris goes there and she's going to get it, but then all of a sudden this huge black hole opens up and starts sucking everything in. And the thing I find weird about this is that Iris is just standing there, and I mean, like, of course she backs away, but she's just standing there. It's not like she's holding on to anything, and like this black hole is sucking everything in, but then she's not getting sucked in. Like, you'd think she would get sucked in, because black holes are pretty powerful. We're actually learning about them in science class at school right now, that and the Big Bang. But like black holes, they can suck up objects or items that have large amounts of mass and weight. And, I mean, they can suck up, like, asteroids and moons and stuff like that. Then they can suck up people. So how is Iris not getting sucked up in there. Like, I just don't get it. But then the Flash shows up. Wait, no, he doesn't. Well, technically he does, but not as the Flash, because it's just Barry, because it's like the crime scene after, and they're testing it for radiation and stuff. But then later, Caitlin, after her meeting, I guess you could say, because it wasn't really a date, but with Ramsey Russo at Jitters, after Ramsey leaves, a black hole opens up right outside Jitters. So then everything's getting sucked in. Caitlin barely makes it out of there alive because she's actually getting sucked in, and she has to hold on to something so that she doesn't get sucked in. Unlike Iris, who was standing right next to it and didn't get sucked in and wasn't holding on to anything. It just doesn't make sense. But then of course the Flash shows up and saves her along with everybody else. And then they have to figure out what connects these two black holes. Like, why the junkyard, and then why Jitters? Like, what do those two places have in common? And then, of course, Iris, her being her journalist self and super researcher or whatever, does her research. And she finds this, like, YouTuber type guy, and his name is Chester. So, yeah, I mentioned Chester. Now I'm talking about Chester. So, Chester is like this YouTuber guy, and he's like this science guy. And he's doing like a live stream, and he's talking about how he stole some parts from the junkyard to build this contraption. And then also how at Jitters, one of the people working there, her name is either Nicole or Nikki. I mean, it's one of those two. I don't think it really matters, but yeah. So he's planning to ask her out once his punch card gets filled up. So good luck to Chester. I don't think it's happening. I mean, she's probably way out of his league anyway. But then you see the contraption that he's building. He says he's trying to communicate with aliens, but then it opens up a black hole, and then that's when things go wrong. So he opens up a black hole, like, in his basement or his garage, like, wherever he is. And then Team Flash finds out that he was taken into custody by the cops. He was rushed to the ER, the emergency room, and, checked out. And now he's, like, not in a coma, but, like, something similar to it. It's like he can't move or anything. Like, he can, his fingers twitch and move, but, like, he can't hear anybody, see anybody. He can't talk or anything like that. And, it's weird because then Iris starts trying to talk to him, and she's like, oh, he was our only lead. But then she realizes that Chester is the black hole. So then Caitlin does some research because she knows all the science stuff. And then she finds out that that half of Chester's brain and his mind is the black hole. So that's why Chester can't do anything, because inside of his body, only half of his mind is there, and then the other half is the black holes. And that's why the black holes are showing up in places that are important to him. So then they realize, they have to, like, they can't just destroy the black hole, because then that would kill Chester. But then Team Flash starts realizing that there's no other way. It's either kill Chester or end up with the whole city dead. But Barry's like, no, we gotta find a way. I'm not losing another person. And of course, this is a reference to Nora, because he lost Nora and he doesn't want to lose anybody else. He doesn't want to have to be burdened by the death of somebody else, even though he doesn't really know Chester. I mean, like, he doesn't want his blood to be on his hands. So then the uh a new black hole opens up in like right in the middle of Central City, so it's not like at a certain place like it was at the junkyard or Jitters. It's just like up in the sky. So then Elongated Man and Killer Frost head out there to do some crowd control, get everybody to safety. And Killer Frost is rocking a brand new outfit, which was actually made for last season, but it just never made it into the season. So now we have it here, and this outfit is really cool. Like she even has like a snowflake logo too. I'm just really liking this new suit for her. And then also Barry suits up as well, and he has a new suit, and you can see it on screen here. Way better than last season's suit. Last season's suit sucked. Well, this suit is pretty much last season's suit, except it has the chin strap, which was my main problem with last season's suit because it didn't have the chin strap, so it just looked weird. And like last season, he was wearing a helmet. Here you can tell that it's more of a cowl. Like the cowl, the helmet looked weird because you could tell that it was like a completely separate piece from the rest of his suit, and it just looked weird. But I like the way it is here. There's an update to the lightning bolt ear type things, and he has some more gold accents throughout his suit, and that's cool. So yeah, I'm liking his new suit. But he is able to go jump into the black hole. And during this scene, the Flash Gordon theme song is playing, and I thought that was just hilarious. Like, it's perfect for this scene, honestly. Well, perfect for any point in this show, but especially this scene. And that's a cool song. The movie was weird, but I mean, cool song. Plus, it's Queen, so I mean, of course, it's a good song. So he jumps into the black hole, and we get some great visual effects here because he's like literally flying through a black hole there, and then it's like 2 minutes later, and he doesn't respond. Iris is crying. Her face is covered in tears. Everybody's freaking out. They're like, "Oh no, he's dead!" But then he jumps back through, and he has the other part of Chester's mind. So then they return it into Chester's body, and they have him like set up inside the Mac, which is like this new contraption device that they created. I'm thinking Cisco probably made it, but they have him in there, and he wakes up. And, he's just like he was before, like he was in the video before the whole black hole thing. But his eyes are all, like, black with, like, yellow lightning. And it looks really messed up. Like, they never address it in the episode, but it looks weird. But they said that he has to stay in that containment cell for 4 to 6 weeks. So, I don't know, I think we might be seeing this character again. Maybe he'll even become a part of Team Flash, because I'm guessing he probably still has these powers, but he can actually control it now. So it'll be interesting to see how his story plays out. Or maybe this is just a one and done and we won't see him again at all. But at the very end of the episode, we get a teaser for Crisis on Infinite Earths. So Barry and Iris are in the I don't even remember what the room is called. It's like the room with all the white walls and the dots, where the Reverse Flash used to have his like secret hideout. Yeah, so they're in there and they're looking at the video or the jacket from Nora. But then the monitor shows up, and then he basically explains that the crisis has changed, and that's referring to the newspaper that we've been seeing since back in season 1, how he was saying that the Flash disappears in Crisis, but it said like 2021 or 2023. I don't remember the exact year. That's just a guess. But then the Monitor informs them that it now says December 10th, 2019. And that's like 2 months from now. Like 2 months and like 1 or 2 days. So yeah, the Monitor explains that Barry will make a sacrifice and that he will die. And there's no other way. Either he dies or the whole galaxy or like every single universe dies. So I don't think he's gonna die. I mean, he might like go away for a few episodes. It might be similar to back in season 4. Yeah, season 4, I believe. Wait, no, season 3. At the end of season 3, how the Speed Force was unbalanced, and then he had to go away into the Speed Force. And then at the beginning of season 4, he wasn't there for a little bit. I think it'll be something like that. But he's definitely not going to die, or like at least not stay dead. Because, I mean, how are you supposed to have the Flash show without the Flash? I mean, you kind of need the Flash. But then we have the teaser for the next episode, and it looks like it's going to be a really good one because Barry travels forward in time to the day after Crisis on Infinite Earths, to after he supposedly dies and makes his sacrifice. And we're basically getting our first look at Crisis on Infinite Earths in this, and it's going to be really cool because I'm super hyped for Crisis. You know, everything we know about it, like some big stuff is happening, and I'm excited to see how this all plays out. And this is looking like it's going to be a really good season. So post your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in my next video so I can bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.